Hello, everybody. This is Kyle here. Here to talk about the Final Four in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in the 2016 season. One race to go until the champion is decided, and that race is Homestead Miami Speedway, like it's been every year for the past 16 years or so. And I got to tell you, the last round was probably the most competitive round that we've seen in the chase since the new format was implemented in 2014. Not a single driver in the final eight or in the round of eight had 0 wins in their column. Everybody had at least one win. We had all 4 of the Gibbs cars. We had Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick from Stewart-Haas. We had Joey Logano. Then we had Jimmie Johnson and Chase Elliott, and then I believe we had Keselowski as well. No, Keselowski didn't make the final. Who cares? Anyway, we had a really competitive round of 8, and it was a pretty intense race watching that final race before the Final Four was announced or decided, and those final laps at Phoenix were really exciting. I actually got to watch the race, and I was on the edge of my seat for pretty much the whole thing. And I gotta say, I was like, please don't let Harvick make the Final Four. Please don't let Harvick make the Final Four. And he didn't do it. He finished 4th ultimately. I didn't think he was going to finish 4th because his car just wasn't that good. But anyway, moving on to the Final Four, Johnson and Edwards had raced their way into the Final Four by Johnson winning at Martinsville and Edwards winning at Texas. And the last 2 spots were to be decided, and it looked like Matt Kenseth had it in the bag until that last caution came out with very few laps to go into the race, and that one of the restarts, Kenseth ended up getting wrecked by Alex Bowman, and whenever that final restart happened, it was pretty much Logano and Kyle Busch's spots for the taking. And it was a pretty nerve-wracking race. Now we are going to Homestead, where we have two champions, the former champion Jimmie Johnson and the reigning champion Kyle Busch, going up against first-time championship hopefuls Carl Edwards and Joey Logano. Carl Edwards has finished second in the points 2 times, in 2008 and 2011. Joey Logano made the Final Four in 2014 and arguably should have made the Final Four in last year, but due to certain circumstances he couldn't do it, and his bad pit stop killed his chances in 2014. So you got you got Jimmie Johnson trying to go for the record, tying the record of 7 championships, the most that any driver has ever won in the Sprint Cup Series. And then you got Kyle Busch trying to defend his championship, maybe kind of legit, in some people's eyes, legitimizing his championship from last year, because he only raced 11. He missed 11 races last season, so he's trying to win the championship again to maybe kind of shut the haters up. And So you got 4 really good stories, just like last year. I mean, we had Kevin Harvick trying to defend his championship last year, Jeff Gordon in his final season, Truex bringing the small team from finishing in the 20s in points last year, or the year before, and then last season wasn't nothing to sneeze at either, but this one I think might be just a tad bit more impressive, because now, I mean, as much as I like Truex, last year he didn't really have much of a chance because his car just was not good, and he didn't really show that a lot of strength in the latter part of the season. He made the Final Four due to consistency and other drivers failing, but didn't really see, and that's why he didn't make the Final Four this year. But this year you got Johnson, Edwards, Kyle Busch, and Logano, who throughout the whole season have been pretty impressive up to this point. And Kyle Busch hasn't won since Indianapolis, but he's stayed consistently in the top 5 for the most part, top 10, and he's looking to pull off the championship again, and I believe Kyle Busch can, and I hope he does. Obviously, my Kyle Busch championship corner of my wall behind me, but at the same time, as much as I don't like seeing Jimmie Johnson win, it's going to be pretty cool to see him, a modern era driver, win 7 championships. Because Petty and Earnhardt, when they won their 7 championships, they were in each eras of their own, and for the most part, Jeff Gordon, I mean, arguably, if the chase hadn't existed, Jeff Gordon would probably have about 6 or 7 championships, but that's not the case, so it doesn't really matter. Jimmie Johnson, whether you like Jimmie Johnson or not, you can't deny the guy can drive a race car, and you can't deny that he will be a legend whenever he retires. So it's hard to argue the legitimacy of Jimmie Johnson's success in NASCAR. And while there was several years I was lobbying heavily against Jimmie Johnson, it's become kind of pointless at this point. And I've just learned to accept that Jimmie Johnson's going to be around for quite a bit longer, and he's probably going to win some more races and maybe 1 or 2 more championships before he retires. And it's just going to have to happen. If it happens, it happens, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Carl Edwards, I was rooting against him the last couple times he was in the championship mix because he's driving for Roush. I mean, sorry reason to dislike somebody, but he's actually a pretty stand-up guy, and a really good race car driver. And the fact that he raced his way in pretty much. I mean, he was leading whenever he was up front at Texas battling before that rain shortened happened. So it's not like Carl Edwards pulled a Newman or anything from 2014. Carl Edwards deserves to be up there because he raced his way in. So if Carl Edwards wins a championship, then that would be great. That'd be amazing for him and his fans, who have dealt with heartbreak more than their share of times. Kind of like a certain other NASCAR fan and his driver who, like me, I'm talking about me and my driver, Kasey Kahne, back there, who just can't seem to catch a break as of right now, so hopefully things will turn around there. But and then Joey Logano, who has really redeemed himself since joining Penske Racing. He's supposed to be this great prospect, and now he's he finds himself for the second time fighting for a championship, and I hope things work out well for him. And it'd be amazing to see Logano and Edwards fighting for the be the two fighting for the championship at the line. I mean, obviously, I'd be okay with it, really. I honestly can't lose in this Final Four, to be honest. I'm just excited to see who's going to win it. I prefer Jimmie Johnson not win it, but if he does, then he does. Can't say that you didn't see it coming. Same with Kyle Busch. I mean, of course, I'm pulling for Kyle Busch to win the championship again, because he's my second favorite NASCAR driver. So I gotta stick behind Kyle Busch. But really, anybody winning the championship this year, at least as far as I'm concerned, will be all right. I mean, I'll be happy no matter what the outcome is. I'm not a Kevin Harvick fan at all, and so whenever I realized that he wasn't making the Final Four, I was like, all right, I can get behind this championship fight now 100% without having to worry about being angry. I mean, I'm sorry for you Harvick fans. I know Kevin Harvick did deserve to make the championship four, but they just didn't show the speed that they needed in this final in the round of 8. Like, no, they didn't have the speed at all until like the closing laps at Phoenix to even compete for a spot in the Final Four. I mean, it sucks. I understand being a Kyle Busch fan all these years, watching misfortune after misfortune, and sometimes of his own doing happen to keep him from the championship four. But at the same time, I don't really feel a bit bad for Harvick. I mean, other than the fact that I feel bad for his fans, but I don't really feel bad for Harvick at all, especially the stunt that he pulled last year at Talladega to keep himself in the mix for the chase. So it's NASCAR. It's become a crapshoot anymore. And say what you want about the chase format, especially this new one. I think it's doing what NASCAR intended it for it to do. So I am really looking forward to the checkered flag at Homestead this weekend, and the start to the new NASCAR season next season, where hopefully my boy Kasey Kahne will actually have good cars next year and make the Final Four. That is my final thoughts. Go Kyle Busch for the championship, but no matter who wins the championship, I will be happy. So, yep. That's my thoughts on that, and see you next season. I'll probably make a vlog about the championship results or whatever. But other than that, I got nothing else to say today, so I will see you guys later.